Well, good morning, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back to another trading session. It is a beautiful Friday with a lot of sun, but very cold as well. So it's kind of cold here in Portugal. So welcome back. Hope you're doing well. Hope your week is going well as well. And I hope you will have a beautiful weekend as well. So let's get straight to the charts and give this talk because we are right at 9:30. Let me mark the 9:30 open right away. So 9:30 open. Yeah, all these opens are kind of stacked together. But let's see what we will have as an opportunity to trade with. So let's zoom out a little bit here first. So looking at the 15-minute, you can see here huge sell-off from yesterday's price action. I was looking for Monday's high yesterday, but we didn't reach it. So we kind of sold off here. We price respected the descent walk right here, right to the tick, and it marked the today's previous day high. And we kind of sold off, taking out all this liquidity out here. We ended the day positive, but not very proud about my performance. Yesterday we kind of catched some of the sell off here and a little bit here as a scalp as well. But yeah, not the best. I had a great opportunity to take advantage of, but was not able because honestly I was kind of off here with my bias. I mean, we moved higher, but we did not reach for Monday's high, so it happens. It happens. So right now, price is really inside of this end walk. I have a lot of levels here, as you might see, but I will explain those to you. So the shaded area is the new week opening gap. These levels here are the quadrants of the new week opening gap, as you can see, 100%, 50%, 25%. So these are important levels that will eventually help us to understand if price is really strong inside this new week opening gap, or if it is somehow respecting those levels and reach for other quadrants. Then we have these levels right here. So these ones 100%, 75%, 50%, and these are relative to this wick here, the daily wick. We have a daily wick here, as you can see. Oops, as you can see here. So this is not quite accurate here. There we go. Now it is. So this wick here, we are working it. And as you can see, the last couple of days, we were working this wick. And now we kind of stopped at the lower quadrant, which can indicate us that price is kind of weak here. We might go eventually even lower from here. But this is in a higher time frame perspective. So in a higher time frame perspective, I'm expecting September low to get taken as well here. But this might be just a bit soon here, just to engage with this type of movement. So let's zoom in a bit here. So I will zoom in into the 15-minute. So now you can see. So Asia, we kind of ranged inside Asia. London was a manipulation to the downside here, taking out this sell side liquidity, and then we moved higher. So now we are working above the opens, as you can see. in this area here are the opens. So midnight open, 8:30 open, 9:30 open, all these levels are very important. So if we can eventually, if price can stay above those levels, we might reach higher, probably to buy side liquidity, and eventually 30% of the weekly retrace, which is the thank God it's Friday setup from ICT. So this level here, as you can see, it's the 30% weekly retrace that we might eventually face at a Friday. But right now, looking at it right now, I can see that price kind of is stopping here at the 50% of the NWOG, at 25% of the quadrant. So if price doesn't hold these opens and start to drive lower, we probably will head lower towards this 15-minute flat candle here and eventually lose this NWOG as well. So the main plan here is probably to wait for price to eventually give up and go lower, or eventually to gain some strength here and reach higher for and towards this buy side liquidity to regular trading hour session. So if we look at the regular trading hour session on the 1 minute, as you can see, price is doing nothing right now. So no worries. Yeah, there's still regular trading hour session buy side liquidity. As you can see here, this is the first point, the second, the third one, and these are all points where the 30% weekly retrace has some confluence. So it might happen that price will come towards that buy side liquidity here, and eventually after it retrace lower, taking out this liquidity and filling the gap that right now it's leaving behind. But I will let the market do its own thing and to see if there's some willingness go higher and not engage with it in the first minutes. I want to see if we will have some strength to maintain an upside movement, or if it just wants to grab this buy side liquidity and move lower. So I will probably not engage if price will move towards these buy side liquidity points, because I'm more interested in a continuation short probably. But since it is Friday, it might not happen, and we might not have the opportunity to engage with lower price action. So let's see. But these are mainly the ideas that I have in mind for today's price action. So right now, the first couple of minutes are very tricky here, as you can see. So nothing happening, just a back and forth action. Let me take a look at it's in Q just to see how NQ is behaving here. Yeah, same behavior, back and forth, back and forth. And so far, price not able to go above the 50% of this end walk. So it's kind of facing a resistance here with this midpoint of the end walk. Javier, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Are you done for the day? Have you done anything already? You probably caught any longs here. Yeah. So you took a long pre-market, right? I usually don't trade pre-market. I usually just trade um after the opening bell, 9:30. But yeah, after this displacement higher, London lows were taken, displacement higher towards Asia highs and London highs. I can see a setup around here probably. Yeah, you, you might have taken something around here eventually. But good job. Really good job. So right now it's kind of tricky to say what price really wants to do. And it's Friday. And usually on a Friday it's kind of hard to decipher what price real wants to do. It's real intentions. So the first presented fair value gap is right here. It was a bearish fair value gap that is being inverted right now. Let's see if we maintain this inversion or if we play back and forth inside this fair value gap. But right now, for a bullish perspective, things are not looking that good, honestly. We might have a 15-minute fair value gap here, as you can see, but the NWAG might be a stronger element on price. And as you can see, price is having a hard time to get above 50% of it. So let's see. Yeah, when you said that you were targeting Asia highs, the only possibility that I saw here was after this displacement here around this area. Yeah, it might have been a clean trade. Only 3 down close candles here, and the rest to the upside. Very nice. It's a low hanging fruit trade, but usually those are the ones that provide less headache, honestly. The low hanging fruit ones. So let me take a look at YM just to see how YM is behaving here. Yeah, going lower. Yeah, YM lately has been in its own world, but it seems like today it's the weakest asset, and it's moving below. It will take all these lows here, most probably. So M and Q. Yeah, so far the 15-minute is holding here as well. but the 1 minute is not giving us anything right now. Back to ES. But yeah, seems like it's kind of weak. We are losing the opens, losing the midpoint of the NWOG. We didn't reach for 30% weekly retrace, but we might have reached for 20% of it. And now we are entering the 15-minute fair value gap here on ES. A lot of levels here today on my chart. It's not that clean of a chart, but sometimes it's just like that. Well, why ES instead of NQ? Well, I just learned everything from ICT on the ES chart, and I just stick with it. It's just a discipline matter, not much more. And it's way better to take partials, way better than NQ. You can eventually move with some more contracts and take a lot more partials than on NQ. You can leave runners with 10-20% of the original position, and on NQ that's way harder to do. That's one of the main reasons why I trade with ESC and not NQ. And usually ES is that asset that it's more consistent with its moves. NQ is always that asset that's more exaggerated with its moves. So it can be more exaggerated, or it can be the vice versa option as well. So it can go to a target and go through it, or it can never go to it. And usually ES is more consistent with the targets. So nice displacement after touching the midpoint of this 15-minute fair value gap. So if price really stays above these opens and eventually comes above the first presented fair value gap, all this liquidity here might be taken. I can see a lot of people trying to sell this. So a lot of people trying to sell off the open, and we will probably head towards buy side liquidity as the regular trading hour session. Yeah, and Qs usually hand stops a lot of times. Yeah, that's correct. I just find NQ a little bit harder to trade. That's why. Because of its volatility, of course, and because of its willingness to go above targets or to stay short to those targets. And ES is a bit more consistent about it. First presented fair value gap still being respected here. Price not able to close above the opens, as you can see here. For a bullish narrative, I would like to see price coming above it, holding here, around here, displacing higher and move higher, gaining some speed above the first presented fair value gap, not giving time for those who place their stops here to take them off. And for a bearish narrative, I would like to see these opens acting as a resistance on price, and price not being able to go above the first presented fair value gap. So 950, I will mark the 950 macro. I believe we are already in. Yes, we are. 950 to 1010. But yeah, very, very thick price action here. And this is quite usual after price taking the high time frames drawn liquidity, because if you look into the weekly, let me zoom in a little bit. The main liquidity here on the weekly was taken already, so it might happen that price will just hang around here, coming up, coming down, but no direction. So it may offer us just a back and forth action and not a clean direction to one side. So this is a typical price action of a Friday after taking out big spots of liquidity and big points of liquidity, and that usually are on the weekly chart or eventually on the daily. If we look into the daily, you can see that we took out previous day low, we took out this liquidity from this huge candle on the 10th of October. So on the daily, there's nothing here to take. So we might have some more action, but starting on the next week, I'm probably inclined to see September lows being taken next week. So it might happen that we will eventually move a little bit higher towards this order block, or eventually even trying to mitigate some of this liquidity here from the wick. But after all, moving lower towards September low. So, and with all of this, price is really now reaching higher inside a macro. So was kind of distracted here. And now I think it's too late. Yeah, we move to the upside. The opens are serving as support. We move towards these highs, and eventually we will not have a retrace lower, allowing us to engage with it. So this is now my drawn liquidity here. Let me just check the size of these stops. Yeah, this is a big stop, 12 handle stop. Yeah, it doesn't allow me much. Three micros. If we only could take something lower here, that would be nice to see. Hello, Pablo. So you're looking at YM as well, right? Yeah, YM has been on its own world lately. I was aiming for this liquidity on YM a couple of minutes ago, but it kind of turned around before heading towards it. But yeah, sometimes it can happen that they will diverge in directions, and eventually YM will go towards one side of the market, and NQ will go towards another one. And lately, it has been happening for quite a while, especially on lower time frames. So it can happen. Don't be surprised about it. Let me just take a look at what MNQ. Yeah, this to me was too harsh of a retrace. Let me just check. Yes, yeah, not liking this type of retrace. And I'm not starting to like how honestly the type of behavior that the market is presenting us. So if you look at it, um, new new lows, new highs, it might be some sort of a seek and destroy price action. So keep that in mind. If you look at the 15 minute, the 15 minute doesn't look great at all. Price once again was rejected at um, the 50% of the analog. So this is a tricky spot to be. Still a barcode for me. Yeah, I was aiming for these equal highs, these relative equal highs, but really don't like this displacement lower unless we invert this once again. But if you look at NQ, yeah, NQ already took those relative equal highs. I mean, yeah, NQ already took them. So we have a minor SMT in between NQ and ES here at the highs. So this can eventually be enough to move the market lower. And so far it's not looking good for a bullish scenario, honestly. But there we go. So unless you use ultra large stops, um, I mean, this right here is a 18 handle stop, so it doesn't allow you to do much. It only allows me to use 2 micros. So, and it would eventually ruin your risk reward as well. So yeah, 1.6. Yeah, nice rejection here on the first presented fair value gap. Price not holding. And now I guess we will see lower prices. I guess this was the last movement to the upside here. But look at this price action. It's very, very thick price action here. But yeah, this movement here is way cleaner, and I believe we will eventually head lower, taking out this low, and eventually mitigate some of this imbalance that we have here. And yeah, price with this displacement here, price was not even able to go for 50% of that end walk, this shaded area. So now I want to see price starting to respect these bearish PD arrays. Moving towards the lower quadrant. And if you look at that daily wick, price was never able to go above the lower quadrant of the daily wick. So it's now losing the daily wick at all in its form. So I mean by daily wick, I mean this wick right here. So price was never able to come above 25% of this wick, and it's now losing it. So we might go lower, but honestly, I don't like this. I really don't like this. This can be another Judas swing to the downside. So shorting here, it's kind of tricky. In the meantime, let me take a look once again at YM just to see if those lows are taken already and not. Yeah. Very strange behavior from YM, honestly. Just a lot of back and forth action. So this is the perfect environment for turtle soup players, but I'm not that person, honestly. I'm not that person. And in the meantime, ES. Let me see if this one get respected, or if we go back inside the range once again, because if we go back inside the range, this is a pretty mess. And it seems like it. Even my chart is starting to look like a mess with all those levels. But yeah, very hard price action right at the open, and we didn't do much. I mean, we didn't do anything, honestly. So this is quite impossible to trade unless you move to a lower time frame. But yeah, I'm not that type of guy, especially in these types of environments. I I usually move to a lower time frame when the market is kind of heavy, one directional, or when it's thick like this. I don't like to play these small time frames because everything happens very fast, very quickly, and yeah, you don't have much time to do anything. So yeah, see, that's why I did not like how when price was here, a lot of people probably tend to think, okay, I will start to short. Maybe we will, just like I did, maybe we will fill this imbalance or this flat candle here. But yeah, it doesn't work because we still have this. It doesn't mean it will go there, but if this was not that clean, if we had some spike to the upside, taking out these highs, and then this piece of price action, then I would engage in a short. But yeah, it's a battlefield chart, honestly. See, even if we took a short here around this fair value gap towards this flat candle, even if I put myself uh, put my stop here, this would have been massive. 14 handles as a stop is quite big. Yeah, well, it would allow me only to go maximum 3 contracts because I'm looking for my size calculator. So it means that every contract would have a 33% weight of the um, total position. So every runner would have 33% of weight, which is a lot. I don't usually like to play with runners above 20%. That's why I'm more inclined to use ES. Still can't see nothing here. I mean, I can see price delivering and taking out these lows. Because for a bullish side, there's nothing here. I can see only bearish rejections. Rejections at the first presented fair value gap, rejections at the open, midnight open, 8:30 open, 9:30 open. Yeah, the only bullish thing that I can see here is probably on the higher time frames. But for that to happen, I would have I needed to do something like this, expecting this 15-minute fair value gap to hold and do something like this. Probably turtle souping these lows. Because on the 1 minute chart, I still can't see nothing bullish. Let's see. Let's see if it will just take out these lows here and eventually closing above the midpoint of this 15-minute fair value gap and move towards these relative equal highs, or if it will just start delivering lower. But honestly, and this is usually what happens whenever we have days where 9:30 open, 8:30 open, and midnight open are quite stacked and quite right next to each other. Whenever we have midnight open, 9:30 open, and 8:30 open right next to each other, it usually tends to be an opening like this. You can eventually backtest it and you can eventually go for yourself, but yeah, just be attent about it and keep this in mind. Whenever we have 8:30 open, 9:30 open, and midnight open quite next to each other, usually the 9:30 open usually is a hard market to trade, and usually it gives us a barcode type of price action. I'm not sure if you have noticed it, but but usually it's just like that. Yeah, Javier is saying longs at 11 a.m. macro. Yeah, probably. Because I can see a lot of people shorting for a while now, but market is not moving at all. So we might have been accumulating shorts all this time. And as soon as we hit 10:50 macro, which will be in about, it's still a little bit far away from us, but it can happen. Yes, 10-15 macro might give us something to the upside. But yeah, I can see it happen, honestly. A high resistance to the downside, making new lows, but not moving the market that much. And eventually at 1050, we might, let me just check the regular trading hours just to see. Yeah, at this point we will close this gap. That's another statistical thing. Whenever we hit 50% of the opening range gap, it usually, I'm not sure about the statistics about it, but it usually tend to happen that we will head to 75%, and if we will head to 75% of it, there's a huge chance that we will close it, that we will fully close it. So we might go wick probably here. We will probably take out this regular trading hour sell side liquidity, and eventually 1050 would mark as a move to the upside. So there we go. Opening range gap closed. We have some more liquidity on the sell side, which is the bottom of the 15-minute fair value gap. Yeah, definitely high resistance to the downside. But as you can see, the quadrants are being respected. I mean, the quadrants of the wick, the quadrants of the new week opening gap as well. So all these lines that you see here are quadrants, and they are being respected. Price has not been able to close above these. But this is a true definition of high resistance to the downside here. And if you look, this is 9:30 open. We just moved about 16 handles, which for ES is a lot, but giving the size of these candles, that's not a lot. This is just because you would never been able to interact with this market having a 5-handle stop or a 3-handle stop or a 7-handle stop. You would have been obligated to get into this market with a large stop. So there is no risk to reward that's favorable for any kind of position here. Oh well, very boring morning so far, honestly. But it is what it is. Sometimes we have to just accept these boring mornings and not force anything, because forcing anything in these conditions, you might get burned. Nice displacement here. Well, pre-market was way cleaner, honestly. It kind of delivered pretty well. So new low. Let me take a look at YM if YM already cleaned those lows. Impressive. Very impressive. A lot of lows here, and YM is still hanging in this range. That's pretty impressive. M&Q. We'll look at the regular trading hour session here on NQ just to, yeah, we are already below. We already took sell side liquidity on the regular trading hour session as well. So at this point, NQ might be waiting for yes to take out this liquidity. But I usually am always a bit suspicious. I'm always a bit suspicious when I see flat candles. Usually these flat candles don't last long. But yeah, with this price action, I'm not sure if we will go there, honestly. Yeah, just imagine shorting this. Just imagine shorting this. And these candles are pretty big now. I mean, I'm not even sizing it from top to bottom, but it's a 20 handle candle, so it's a very big range already. And yeah, I'm not sure if you have been listening to what ICT has been saying in these last couple of X spaces. But he in one of those he mentioned that there will probably be a time window where we will not be able to trade because of all these sizes. Just like it happened when we did this, when the market came here in April. Um, yeah, there were days that the candles were so big that it wasn't possible to engage with them because our stops would have been eaten, um, and these candle sizes didn't allow us for a rational risk to reward size. So it can happen that we will face something like this in the next couple of weeks, probably. So if this is the 11 a.m. reversal, it's a bit too early for it, but it can happen. I just don't like the time of it, but it seems like we will probably head higher. Yeah, all of this because NQ just took regular trading hour session sell side liquidity. I mean, let me check it once again, but I guess that's why. Yeah, we took out all this liquidity here from the regular trading session and displaced to the upside, but ES still has it. So I would not be surprised if we will drive lower once again. Very thick market here. God damn. Oh, you're paper trading, Javier. You just entered a long on NQ, right? Yeah, NQ seems cleaner because it took out regular trading session sell side liquidity. But we still have a flat candle here. And I'm not sure if this is a protected low, honestly. So you might have entered around here, right? This was your point of entry here. And your stop might be around here. Yeah, you did well to put yourself at break even as as long as you were green, but because in this market it's impossible to hold anything. You have to be very aggressive with your break even, and you have to be very acceptable with those break evens as well, because that's one of the hardest things to do as a trader as well. Is you probably know where the market is being driven, but you try once, break even, try twice, break even, try the third time, break even, and sometimes it can get you to a point of frustration that you just, okay, I will not protect myself at break even, and I will just let it run, and sometimes it happens. I don't know if you feel the same, but sometimes it really happens. So that's a thing that you have to train yourself to as well. It's to accept those break evens. Even if the market sometimes just runs and you have no chance to get in once again. I feel like that's a hard task to us to face. Yeah, pure seek and destroy. Yes, it is. Fourth, the oversize or no stop loss. Yeah. That's that point of tilt. That's that point of tilt that you know it's coming. Yeah, this is even for paper trading, it's kind of hard. If you look at the 15-second, you might have a chance to do anything, but even that, it's it's a great market for turtle supers, honestly, where the highs are taken and you sell short, the lows are taken and you buy. Um, but yeah, it's not the type of environment for me to play with. And I don't know if you know about this exercise, but there's an exercise that you eventually can do or can talk to other players, to other traders to do as well. In environments like this, whenever you're not sure about what to do, or if you have that willing to trade, but you're not that sure, um, try to ask yourself if okay, I will I will open a position here and I will put my stop loss here. And if you ask yourself, will my stop loss uh, will my stop loss have any sort of chance to get hit? And you ask yourself that. And if your answer to that is, yeah, probably it has some chance to get hit here. So that's your answer to not get into any sort of trade. But if you put yourself in a position like this and ask yourself, is there any chance that my stop will get hit here? And you said to yourself, no, there's no chance that my stop will get hit here. It's almost impossible. Then you're probably in the right side of the market, and probably you're right because um, your intuition says a lot about the market behavior as well. So try to do it. Try to do it next time. Whenever you have an idea about a trade, ask yourself, will my stop loss have the chance to get hit? And if your answer is maybe, okay, then don't try to force that trade. But if your answer is hell no, it will not get hit, 99% chance it will not get hit, then you're probably more inclined to do a better thing. Because if you're in a type of way that, yeah, maybe, probably, maybe I have to enlarge a bit my stop loss just to not get hit, or yeah, I'm not sure about it, then that's your answer to not engage with it. It's just a curious exercise that um, sometimes we are not in the mood to do it. We are not capable of doing it. It depends on how your day is working as well. But whenever you have the chance and you have the clear mindset, yeah, try to do it. You will see that you will probably avoid a lot of losing trades. Yeah, this environment is it's gambling for sure. By the way, what are you expecting about price for the next couple of days, probably at the until the end of the year, because we have about 1 month only. Now I'm looking for September lows and eventually a little bit lower. Looking at the higher time frames. Yeah, there's a lot to rebalance, of course, but if we go at the monthly, we still have a breakaway gap here. I mean, this is the breakaway gap here, which I would not like to see price coming into. But this one, I would allow price to come. So 6,280 to 6,120 would be a healthy retrace of price. But it might happen, since we have a large wick here, that price will come lower eventually and try to work this wick as well. That would give us a harsh retrace, but usually the S&P usually takes about 10% retraces. So this has a lot of confluence with this fair value gap, the monthly fair value gap. But if we go towards that wick, that would be a massive 20% down from all-time highs, which is not that common, but it can happen. Here we did a 25%. If we look at 25% of it, we would go for about 75% of this wick, I believe. Wick quadrants, let me just check. 25% would stay around this quadrant here. I don't know. I think it's a bit earlier. Yeah, I think it's a bit early to talk about it. But I guess this level here, we might see it sooner or later. Oh, and in the meantime, price has been going down towards the 15-minute flat candle here. So for a 1050 macro inversion, I would like to see price faking out a breakdown of this 15-minute fair value gap on the lower time frames, eventually invert this bearish fair value gap, and then move towards all this liquidity here. But it can happen that we will move lower. I'm not sure. We are approaching 1050 macro, so yeah, you are bearish as well. Yeah. Yeah, that's my point of view as well. For the next couple of weeks. And so far, looking once again at the quadrants of that NWOG. So 50% was retested here, 25% was retested here. Bottom is being retested here. So lower we go. But still looking towards what the 1050 macro will do, because it can happen that we will eventually take out this liquidity here, form some sort of a bearish fair value gap, move higher, inverting this fair value gap, and boom to the upside, taking out all this liquidity here. But since it's It's Friday. I'm not sure if that will happen as well. 1 hour SMT for now. Yeah, in between NQ and NES, right? Yeah, that's it. I'm watching it too. So this bearish fair value gap is being respected for now. Price not being able to close inside of it. Wicks doing some damage here. Let me take a look at YM. I'm kind of curious to see what YM is doing here after this move down. Yeah, like usual, in its own world. Okay. This one is MNQ. Let me just take a look at the regular trading hour. Yeah, we took sell side liquidity on a regular trading hour session as well on ES. So this was what we were waiting for. SMT on the higher time frames as well. Price displacing higher. So this might be the move to the upside, taking out all this liquidity here. We are still 5 minutes away from the macro, but it can happen that we will eventually move higher from here. This was the fake out to the downside. The only thing that I don't like here is that we still have a flat candle on ES, but this might be our SMT on the 1 hour. Yeah, it might be now. Yeah, so far no fair value gap, just this one that was inverted. We have some implied ones, but I usually don't use these implied ones. A nice reaction from this inversion here. So yeah, NQ and DS were waiting for the regular trading hour session sell side liquidity to be taken. So all this movement here to the downside was just to mitigate that opening range gap and to take out regular trading hour session sell side liquidity. Let me take a look at some higher time frames here. So 2 minutes, the 3 minutes. Yeah. Very clean. $13 handle stop. I'm just checking if price has some willingness to go above this first quadrant. Yeah, but it has take this off from here. Yeah, price offering only as I was saying, price is offering only immediate rebalances. It kind of rejected here the quadrant. Not sure if I like this or move higher. That's why I'm um a bit suspicious about it. We take a look at the 2 minutes. Yeah, the 2 minutes we went for this fair value gap. We are still holding here. It would be a break even for you, yeah. These retraces are kind of harsh here. Well, it went for equilibrium, but I'm not sure because we rejected the quadrant of the upper quadrant of the NWOG and the top of the wick as well. So that's why I'm not liking this. But the idea is clean. I just don't. No, I'm not sure. I'm liking this reaction, but it has to have some willingness to go to the upside. Yeah, there we go. I guess this was the formation of the order block order block, the retest of the breaker. We never closed below the breaker, despite it kind of looked a bit scary. So this was, I can consider these up close candles here, the breaker. Price went down, did some damage with the wicks. Already retraced back to it, and now it will probably move towards these highs since we are inside a macro. But the only thing that was kind of preventing me to enter was the quadrants here because I already tried this once and it didn't work. I mean, I tried it not a long time ago, but whenever price rejects these quadrants like this, it usually respects them more than lower time frame liquidities. But the idea is is there. Testing once again the breaker. Let me just take a look at YM if it's pushing to the upside. It probably is, yeah. So YM already left all these relative equal lows below as well. It did not close the gap here. And it did not take any sort of sell side liquidity on the regular trading hour session as well. Sketchy. Sketchy as hell. And in the meantime, another rejection here. Yeah, I will take out this idea. Not liking this price action. We'll just leave it here just to see if we would have been stopped out or not. But even for a short move to the downside, it's not that clean, honestly. But there are different things that I don't like in this bullish setup. The fact that we stopped right at the quadrants here, the first quadrant of the analog, the base of the daily wick, and then the fact that we still have a flat candle here on AS. That's why I couldn't enter in this trade with confidence. And yeah, the fact that we have been trading like this, so what are the guarantees that I will have a straight move to the upside if price has been acting like this for the past couple of, I don't know, past couple of 3 hours? So suddenly price will just behave like I want to? Probably not. So all those things were in my mind, and all those things kind of prevented me to not enter a trade here. I could have taken something. I could have been quick enough to enter in this rebalance here and take out some of the position here. But yeah, that's not the type of plays that I usually like. I tend to try to extend my positions to liquidity targets. Yeah, it's really teasing. It's really teasing, but at this point, I'm kind of turned off already. even if price comes back above the breaker, I'm fine. It's Friday. I don't want to ruin anything. But yeah, those were all the thoughts that were in my mind, and that prevented me to not engage. See, at this point, the breaker is being disrespected. So this to me is a weak setup already. Midpoint was not respected at all. a lot of damage has been done. So at this point, if I had to ask myself, well, will my stop get hit here? Yeah, probably. Probably. So that's why I'm not engaging on this. But if price was able to stay above the midpoint of the breaker, not doing all this damage here, then I would probably have engaged with it, but not like this, not in these conditions where harsh retraces are happening. Yeah, and at this point, I would be praying for my stop loss not to get hit, unless I've protected myself, of course. But yeah, so far I'm liking to see because I introduced this not a long time ago on my analysis, the quadrants of these points of interest, and yeah, it's been working honestly, and it usually has a lot more strength than low time frame um, analysis that we might think. So it was introduced this year by ICT, I guess. He just started to say uh, to look for the quadrants and not just the midpoints, not just those consequent encroachments, um, and these really make a difference. And if you look at the wicks as well, um, you will see that the wicks have a lot of weight and importance in price action. Because if you look here, look how we rejected 50% of that wick that I marked. Look how we rejected 25% of the wick here as well. And look how we are now rejecting the bottom of the wick. So it doesn't mean that it will drive lower um, towards I don't know where, but it means that price is not able to go above it. So it might question ourselves about bullish setups. And yeah, it really did here. So at this point, I would have been stopped out, as you can see, if I have taken this bullish setup. Things are not great for a bearish one, I guess, as well, because yeah, price has been acting like this. It can eventually take out these lows and eventually leave the flat candle for a next stage. So it can do something like this, boom to the upside once again, probably to equilibrium of this leg, and then move lower. And I don't like this, honestly. So this is a no trade environment for me. That's why I haven't taken anything yet. How do I mark that out? You mean the wicks? Well, I usually go on the daily. I will take the draws out just to make it a little bit cleaner. Okay. So imagine that you are in a range. So in a range, you will look for the biggest wick and the one that has more discount or more premium on it. So in this range here, where price is going from this high to this low, which is the deepest wick, which is the wick that has more discount. I mean, so this is the wick that has more discount, is the lowest of them all. So if you come here, you will mark 25% of it. 50, oh, it's already marked here. So, oops. So these levels here that you see are relative to this wick. And as you can see, price in the first drive lower, it kind of stopped around, it kind of closed above the first quadrant, but it went down and it stopped right at the lowest quadrant. And today we kind of retraced back, but we were never able to close above the latest quadrant, which means that, okay, we are kind of heavy. Price is not able to touch the 50% of it, and we will probably drive lower. And now, if you look at it, the bottom of the of the wick, we lost it as well. So now we are in a place where, okay, this wick, if we close here, this wick will probably be our premium wick, and we will look for a discount wick, the next discount wick. And where is the next discount wick? It's right here. So probably for the next week or the next weeks, we will mark this out. And we will probably have this level as our draw on liquidity, the first draw on liquidity. And then we will see if price has some willingness to trade inside of it, or if it uses it as a trampoline to go back and eventually then refer to which wick? This one that will get closed. So I'm not sure if you understood this. I'm not sure if you understood this, but that's what I've been working on and what I've been working with as well. And it's really working. And you can eventually measure the strength and the weakness of price action very clearly, especially with the closes of the candle. And on lower time frames, you can clearly see that price is rejecting these levels quite clearly. And here it was almost algorithmic. So to the tick, 50% of it, it went down. Then it retraced back to that quarter, to the quadrant. It went down once again. So it was a back and forth action. Then London, the usually manipulation. But right at the open, we struggled right away with this quadrant here. And this was one of the things that, told me that price was kind of weak here during the open. And it kind of was. Yeah, just try to test it. Sometimes I guess the most difficult thing is to select which wick you have to use, but you have to use the one that it's the closest in discount and the closest in premium, I guess. So this one was the closest in discount premium. So we are in a premium, right? In a discount. So this is the premium one, I guess. So if we lose this one, the next shall be, imagine that we close this with a small wick here. Okay, price is not close to this one. So we will use this one. And then as soon as we lose this, we will go to the next one. And the next one will be this, which I think it will be the next one to be used. And I had some more. I just I'll just erase some of that, but let me just take a look here. For example, here, for example, yesterday's price action. Price was not, I was expecting buy side liquidity as Monday high to be taken, but price was never able to go above 75% of the wick, of this wick. So price was around here, which is the closest and the most premium wick that we have. The largest one is this one here. So we kind of see what price is doing on lower time frames. And if you look at it on lower time frames, it's almost algorithmic. It's almost algorithmic respectness. So look at how we approach the wick displays. We went for it. We stayed above it, inside of it. Then we pushed through the first quadrant here. We stopped a little bit here, moved to the next one. And this is not the perfect one because the ranges are quite small here. But when you have large wicks, it's way better and it's way cleaner. And here was a clear sign that, okay, we will not go for the next quadrant or for the top of the wick. So we will move lower. And this was my alert to go short as well. So there are a lot of examples. You just have to work them out. You can do that on a weekly as well. But on a weekly, you just have to expect to give it a lot more time. You just have to give it a lot more time, honestly. So imagine on a weekly basis, if I want to see price coming lower, I don't want to see this weekly candle to go once again back inside of this wick here. I want it to stay below it. So for what? For price to display slower eventually and to go for the next wick. And the next wick might be this one here on the weekly. It can eventually be this one as well. But on a daily, if we go on a daily, see, if we go on a daily, this is the biggest one. So this is how I use wicks now to, I have not been using it for a while, as I said. It's quite a new thing that I've been testing out as well. But as you can see, it kind of works and it's almost algorithmic, as you can see. So these levels are not, these rejections here are not random. They are motivated by something. Yeah, you're welcome, Javier. You're welcome anytime, bro. Anytime. It's just, I believe it's just one more tool. I believe when we have too much tools, it might be a little bit difficult and hard to frame everything into one thing only. But yeah, it's just one more tool. And it all depends on how you use it and not if it works or not. It clearly works. It ultimately it depends on how you use it, honestly. But yeah, another sign that price is not giving us what we wanted. So we were not able to take out these lows, not even the flat candle here. Moving once again to the upside. The 15-minute on ES looks horrible, but still but still bullish, I guess. At least the 15-minute because we have relative equal highs. But at this point, I guess price is kind of stuck in the lower quadrant here of the opening of the new opening gap, and I need to see some willingness to stay in the upper quadrant and not in this lower quadrant. So this was another fake out here. It would have been great to see this coming a little bit lower, taking out this liquidity, and then move higher. That would be perfect for a bullish scenario. But I'm afraid that we will here take out this high, move back inside the range, and yeah, do something like, I don't know. And in the meantime, it's 11:17. So it usually happens when the macro or D macros, that's one thing that I've been noticing as well. Whenever we have empty macros, which I believe this is an empty macro, nothing has been delivered here. Nothing has been delivered here. So whenever we have two empty macros, usually 11:30 11:30 will give us something to work with. But I'm honestly not the best person to play this time window. Usually my time window ends in between 11 to 11:30, but I've been noticing that in between 11:15 and 11:30, whenever we have empty macros, usually something just happens and something delivers. So we might deliver something here, I'm not sure, but looking at price action, I cannot trust that it will eventually give us something to work with, because the next couple of hours have been terrible. And yeah. So Javier, just for curiosity, look how where price just this was our target, right? Oh, it will take out this high and move, but it didn't reach for it. Where did it close? Right below 25% of this shaded area, which is the end wall, the actual the end wall where we are working in. So 25% of it acted as resistance, and we got a harsh displacement to the downside. So another signature that price respect quadrants. See, it's just playing inside this quadrant. It's working this quadrant. It displaced below, and now it's displacing above. So it's kind of trapped here inside of the last quadrant of this analog. So until nothing is assumed to the upside or to the downside here, we can't do anything. It will just play with us, and it will just be trapped in here, giving us false breakouts to the upside or false breakouts to the downside, and not delivering anything. So yeah, next time try to have that in mind, and try to I'm not saying to use it, but try to note those levels and see if they work for you, because sometimes there are points where we don't know why price is returning back or doing some things, right? Why price has been rejected here, or why price turned back, turned it's back to these highs, well, it tends to have something to do with the quadrants of these levels, especially new week opening gaps and the wicks as well. So we are inside the time window, 11:15 to 11:30, and this displacement higher, inverting this, looking at the 15 minute starts to look a little bit more bullish, especially on ES. So we kind of assumed here if this turns out to be a bullish fair value gap here on right inside, right above this quadrant, this might be a sign that we will go higher. This is another sign here. Whenever you have bullish or bearish fair value gaps right above these points, they usually tend to be great points of entry as well. So if I'm right, this shall happen. But if you can see, we still have to go above all these opens. So there's a lot of road bumps here for price. The opens first presented fair value gap, then we will have the midpoint of the dead end walk. So a lot of resistance to be cleaned out here. Yeah, it seems like it can't work now. And we are inside the time window in between 11:15 to 11:30. So this might be the movement that we were expecting all this time to happen. I will just I will just see if it will deliver or not, but seems interesting now. So in order to engage with this, I would demand eventually something like this. This would be a huge stop loss. But even like putting my stop loss here, yeah. Taking a stop loss here, it's impossible because it's a 20 handle. It's a 20 handle stop loss. So no risk to reward. And assuming a small stop loss like this, it's kind of risky because price can eventually come here unless this fair value gap right inside or right above the quadrant will be one of those important fair value gaps. So the opens. Here I want to see price not taking too much time. Otherwise, it will come back. This is the kind of setups, smart money, retest of 1 minute bullish fair value gap and 1 minute bearish inverted fair value gap with momentum are my thing. Yeah. I can see the formation of this BPR, right? This aggressive BPR, these large BPRs. When you have a manipulation, a strong manipulation down, and then right away a move to the upside. But do you usually wait for a retrace, or do you just take that closure of this green candle? Because I usually tend to wait for retrace, and I know that most of the times it won't get retraced. But yeah, I can see how you like this, because they tend to deliver fast moves to the upside or to the downside whenever we have a formation of a bearish fair value gap, but immediately invert that fair value gap with a bullish one that usually stays open, forming a balanced price range. And then there's nothing we can do if we don't take the closure of this candle, and if we wait for some sort of a retrace lower, it usually doesn't give us that retrace, right? So you probably take the closure right away. Yeah, when it closes. Yeah. So the candle closes and you closes, it confirms the inversion, and you take that right away, right? Clean setup here, honestly. And once again, it was in between 11:15 to 11:30, that time window. And usually it delivers whenever we have empty macros like this. I've been noticing these for the past couple of months. I'm not quite sure how to engage with them, because they usually tend to make fast moves. But yeah. Oh, okay. If it retraces, you tend to see it like weakness. Okay. It makes sense. It really makes sense. So, it must stay open to assume that bullishness in this case. Okay. I see. Makes a lot of sense. So clean setup here. It will take all this liquidity. It took a long time to generate this liquidity, but very nice. But looking at NQ, NQ is right. It's not even close to this, to these highs. Yeah. Just like this. So BPR followed by a bullish fair value gap. So it will just move to the upside, taking out the liquidity that's left behind. I see. And it makes a lot of sense because usually we are always aiming for retraces, but sometimes retraces they can mean weakness, and in this case, it can mean weakness. So we don't want to see price retrace back. We want to see it close above and just move higher, not looking back. It makes a lot of sense now. So yeah, good setup here. Very good setup. And with this, I think I will close the stream. It's been 2 hours now. It's been 2 hours. We are um, outside of our time frame of action as well. So I usually tend to operate in between 9:30, and we can eventually stretch it to 11:15. But initiating a position next to 11:30, I usually don't tend to do it because it can mean that I will enter lunch hour, and yeah, I'm not comfortable playing lunch hour. I usually know that it will seek for liquidity for 10 a.m. highs and lows, but yeah, I'm not a specialist on lunch hour. Yeah, you're welcome, Javier, anytime. And I really appreciate someone to talk with. That's that's always great. Thank you for being here as well and for your support. I hope to see you next time. I will be here Monday, so I do this every day, and usually I tend to start at 9:20 New York local time, um, more or less. Yeah, but yeah, from Monday to Friday, this is my commitment to the markets right now. So yeah, thank you for your presence. Have a nice weekend. Have a nice Friday as well. And yeah, stay safe. Thank you. Thank you, brother. See you Monday. Thank you.